Good morning and welcome in on this Friday morning to my craft room. And the sun is actually shining today, which is something we haven't seen very much of over the last few days. So, as I say, welcome in. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK, and I don't normally have quite such a husky voice. That is something especially for you today. So, as you may have gathered, I'm not feeling at my brightest and my best, and I've got a bit of a hacking cough. So, I'm hoping that is going to stay at bay while we do a little bit of crafting. I have a glass of water on hand, but we will see how we go. But good morning to everybody. I hope you are all well. Let me just pop up my screen and introduce myself. This is where you will find my website, Morning Wendy, www.loveaduckie.co.uk, and over on my website you'll find links to blog posts and shop links and links to downloadables and classes and all of those sorts of things. So that is the hub of where you'll find everything, links to everything else over on my website. And wherever you're looking for me on social media, you can find me under Love-a-Duckie. So whether that's Facebook, whether that's Instagram, YouTube, or whether that is Pinterest. I'm trying to think what was the one that I've missed. It is going to be one of those mornings, ladies. The brain is foggy. Thank you. It's not going to move cameras for me. So I apologise in advance. Yeah, anything could happen today and possibly will. But we'll have a bit of a play and see how we get on. How long we stay and play will depend on how we are feeling. So if it seems shorter than normal, that is because I feel as if my voice is about to give out. But if we're doing all right, and sometimes it gets better as you carry on, then we'll just carry on as normal. So let me bring in my downward facing camera. I need to get a new mat out, a new sheet, but I don't like just to waste them. It's got a few little splotches and marks on it, but I like to save a tree every now and then, so I don't put a new one out every time. Now we are going to be having a play with a Christmassy bundle, but we are also going to, yes, Lisa, thank you. We're also going to be looking at a colour challenge, and the colour challenge that we're looking for, you can see this beautiful frosty scene just here, and the colours that we need to be playing with are basic white, soft succulent, basic black, early espresso, and garden green. So those were the colours that I had got going round in my head when I was deciding what we were going to play with today. And we'd got this beautiful picture just here of this wintry forest, pine forest scene. But we don't have to be inspired by that. It's just the colours that we're looking at. So we could do, you know, the green and brown unicorn if we want to. But just those are the colours that we're going to be using. So I have got some early espresso, some soft succulent, and some garden green. Obviously basic white. I could get out my white craft ink, but I don't think I'm going to need it. Who knows, we might grab it yet. We'll see how we go. And black, obviously I've got on hand with either black stains on or black memento. We could use black card. A quick slurp. But I saw a technique the other day that looked rather interesting. Now, true to form, I've not actually tried it out yet. But I thought, oh, that would be quite a good little technique to combine with this colour challenge. And the bundle that I'm going to use is the Spruced Up bundle. This is a bundle that I've had on my desk because I've just created a mega stamper stack class with it. So great little bundle. You've got a couple of trees in there. You've got some baubles, some various stripes and things, snowflakes. You've got your little bauble tops and your little star in there, some candy canes, and then you've got an interesting set of dies that go with them, because these dies, yes, they will cut out these stamped images. So if we stamp this, yes, it will cut out that stamped image, but what it also cuts out is an outline piece. And those outline pieces can be used alongside your die cut image that you've just cut out, or they can be used completely independently, and they're rather fun. And the snowflakes do the same, the presents, so the baubles, the trees, the presents all do this thing, the snowflakes, where they cut out both this outer piece and the inner piece. So let's have a little play and let's have a look at this technique. Now, the first thing we need to do is get some water. I've got a piece of Fluid 100 watercolor card here, and I'm going to put quite a bit of water on it. I want it to be really quite wet. Picked up a little bit of green ink or something out of the background there, but I'm not going to worry too much because I'm using greens and browns anyway. I think it will manage. So I've made that quite wet. I've saturated that quite a bit. I'm going to bring in some blocks. What block should I go with? I think I'm going to go C block. Let's start on the bottom here. I'm going to ink up my block with some early espresso ink, and I'm just going to tap that over that watery card. Let me give that a bit of a wipe. I'm going to get a kitchen towel. And give that block a bit of a wipe. Then I think we'll come in with some soft succulent. And because it's watercolor card and because it is wet, it will continue to move around and splurge out a little bit. Let's add in some garden green on the top there. Might just bring in my tissue paper and blot a little bit of that top. Might come in and blot this early espresso a little bit just to take a bit of the intensity out of it. Come back in with this green block and just smoosh that around at the top there. And give that a bit of a wipe. Right, never too late. You could always go back and watch things on catch up, or go back on to just rewind and catch up on the bits you missed. Never too late. Right, so there we are. So we've got like a stripy piece of card here. Now I'm going to take these two tree images and a bit of gold glimmer card, and I'm going to cut some trees, some gold glimmer card. I need just to trim that down a little bit to get it through that mini machine. About 8.9 centimeters is the width of this bottom plate, around that sort of mark. And let's lay those trees on there. And bring that in a little bit, because if it's hanging over the edge, it won't have enough pressure and it won't cut. Let's run that through. It will come back for good measure. Now what you see when I pull these out is you have a tree piece and an outline piece. I'm just looking for my tree pieces really to on this particular project, so that we can have the outline of the trees with the brown and green showing through. Move this out of the way for a moment. But obviously I've now got two beautiful gold trees that I can use on a different project, because you're not going to waste those trees. They're not wasted in any sense of the imagination. They are just two entirely different textures and two entirely different components that you can either use together or you can use completely separately. So you could be using those together and having one sort of stuck down and one on dimensionals to give it different heights, give a bit of variety that way. You could do mix and match. We could have done a couple of different coloured trees and swapped over the outers. There's all sorts of ways that you could play with these really lovely dies. They just are good fun. But we're going to have two trees on there. I might trim that down just a little bit, just to lose some of that white around the outside. So let's have a look. Let's take it down to 8.5 centimeters, and then I'm just going to trim a little bit this bottom piece off. Give it a little bit more proportion. That's better. Like that. I'm going to open up a new thing of multi-purpose liquid glue, because I was almost standing on my head and jumping up and down trying to get some out yesterday. So I think it's time to treat ourselves to a new glue. So obviously, being a new glue, it is going to be squidgy. That big smidge of glue at the top there. You always go from a glue that's nearly empty, that you're sort of really shaking and squeezing, to a brand new glue that oozes out the minute that you look at it. Right, there we are. Some glimmery trees. I might come back in with this glimmer paper, because you've got 3 little star dies in here. They would be quite pretty. Let's bring back out our mini die cutting machine. Let's put our watercolour card to one side for a moment. Not quite dry yet. Ooh. Let's have a plate on there before we try and add something to it. Not quite seeing stars, but I am feeling a bit, my head is a little bit spinny this morning. I did do the dreaded COVID test and that came back negative, so I think it just is. There's so many cold and flu-y bugs around at the moment. Right, there we go. I've got a few little stars. I don't necessarily want them on the top of my tree. I think we might have them up in the sky. Let's have a little look at how big this mat is. I'm careful because I've not stuck those stars on yet. So it's 8.5 by 12. So I'm going to put a bit of black cardstock that's 12 by 3 by 8 by 8. So not quite a ½ centimetre border. So just a narrower border around there. That brings in some black. Bring in thick basic white card base. Just pondering. I'm just looking around here because I did have the lights away paper. And of course some of this is actually soft succulent. We could have some bokeh effect. No. How about a panel? No, I'm not sure about that at all. I don't think. Not sure that that's going to work. We can but play and see what we think. We have some garden green ribbon here. Might perhaps use some of that. A little oddment here. Let's bring that round the bottom. And to take out that, I think I might just leave it on the white base actually. Bring this round the bottom and then we'll perhaps tie a knot and we will add in So let's first of all stick our little stars in the sky. 1, 2, 3. Let's stick this to our black mat. We'll be fairly generous with the glue because it's watercolour card to start with, and it is still a little bit damp, and where it has had water added to it may have a tendency to curl just a little. Let's come in with our block and just press that down. Add this piece of ribbon across the bottom. So this has quite a masculine feel about this card. Nice to have a few of those in your stash. Here locally in the UK, we have got threats of postal strikes between now and Christmas. So I don't think that means we shouldn't send cards. I think it just means we're going to have to be a little bit more efficient in getting them in the post so that they arrive in time. Let's knit those off. And then let's have a little look at the sentiments in this stamp set. Got the whatever brings you happiness, may it be yours this holiday season. You can, of course, not use holiday season and use something else instead. Christmas, probably. You could have whatever brings you happy, may it be yours this birthday. Could be any sort of thing going in there, couldn't it? I think let's have a happy. And let's have a Christmas. And I think, as we've got a little flash of black in the back there, let's find ourselves a bit of black cardstock. Somewhere here, I've got some gold embossing. Let me find myself an embossing buddy. I'm going to put these both on the block at the same time, but I will probably cut them out into separate strips. So let's put them on the block together, but keep them apart. So ink that up. Stamp that on this piece of black card. Oh, my spoon. Put that around just now, thinking that needs to go away. I'll put it to one side safely until I'm ready to do that. Oh well. I'm sure we shall be able to have a dibble in here. Let's tap off any excess. And just bring in my little brush. Brush away any excess around the edges. Bring in our heat tool. Heat that up. And there it goes. Happy. Christmas. Let's just snip that. Do a bit of a banner ends each end. It's not banner ends, is it? It's just shaped ends. Happy Christmas. I was just about to say I haven't got any white in there, but I have because I've got a white card base. Let's have Christmas across that side. Get rid of that little dimensional back. That doesn't add anything to the project, does it? So there we are, a bit of sort of watercolouring with blocks, which was an Australian demo, I think I saw doing that. And I thought, oh, that's quite a nice idea. We could have a bit of a play with that. Let's bring in the colours from our challenge. So I've cut this piece of watercolour, there's a card. There's just a little snip in this corner. It is going to annoy me. There we go. So there we are. Some garden green, some soft succulent and some early espresso with some black and some white and a bit of gold thrown in for good measure. So an interesting little technique, but of course that does leave us with 2 Christmas trees. I think we ought to do something quickly with those as well. I did grab some red and white glimmer paper, seeing as we're playing with glimmer paper, and I thought we could perhaps do something with those trees and some presents. I'm just going to cut a piece of this glimmer paper that is wide enough to cut those presents from. Put that to one side. Let's bring back in our little mini machine. where are you? So I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do 2 red and 1 white in the presents, and then we'll do a bit of mix and matching, I think. And there's 1 red, a present with 2 separate inner bits. You can see you get the outside bit and then you get 2 inner bits. Whole lot of glimmer going on there. Another red one. These are rather fun little pieces, aren't they? Like sort of teardrops. And let's bring in the white glimmer card and cut 1 in white. So these are 2 different packs of glimmer cards. The red and the white comes as a 6x6 pack, and the gold is part of a pack from the Lights of Glow suite, and you get gold, evening evergreen and berry vanilla in that one. So a nice selection of glimmer cards doing the rounds this year. Right, so what have we got? We've got 2 trees. We've got some presents, and I think we'll have one that is red with red. We'll have one that is white with red. And one that is red with white. We've got some mix and match presents. We've got a couple of gold glimmery trees. I think we will get, let's have a bit of basic white card base. I'm going to grab a new red card. This to 13.9 by 9.5. We need a mat of something else on the top there. Let's have presents coming down one side and a tree across the other. What colour shall we have coming behind those? Do we go black? Is that going to work? don't want to be white because obviously white would to cut a, I think, a 5 centimetre strip, and let's cut that to 13.9. Let's have a look how that looks behind our presents. It's going to have the red in the middle. I'm going to take this stripy stamp just here and some real red ink. And let's to take this stripy stamp and add a stripy pattern, but it's not quite stripes, it's stripes and spots, and quite a fun little pattern actually. And one more, I think. I'm going to cut a little slither off of that. Let's make it 4.5. Add that down there. Let's add in our presents. I could have used some double-sided adhesive on these. That's rather a lot of glue on there. Let's see if I can find a silicone sheet. And then the middle one, we're going to have red with red. So let's just dibble that in that glue. So it's not quite so blobby. Then the white one. Make sure I've got the glimmery side upwards. Don't want to stick that downwards. I don't think I'm going to. Am I going to be able to move those up a little bit? Possibly not. That's fine. We'll go with them as they are. Not quite evenly spaced out. A little bit of creativity. I'm going to take some of the black mini dimensionals and let's come in. So this center one, I'm going to add in flat. Lift up little bow while I squeeze that in. And then The two outer ones I'm going to add dimensionals to, but as it's going on to black card, I'm going to use black dimensionals, and we'll just raise those centre panels up. To put the lid on this red ink before I put my arm in it. And one more. There's our little row of presents, and then we have our two trees. I think we'll stick the bottom one down. And we'll add this second one again with dimensionals. I've got the black ones here. It's actually going on to red paper, but that's okay. Let's add that. To our card front, and again we just need some sentiment. Sorry, brain went dead there for a moment, completely blanked out. We need a sentiment, and we need some embellishments. I think I'm going to bring in some black twine. So this is one of our essentials packs of baker's twine, which has white, black, very vanilla, and crumb cake and grey granite. I caught that a bit funny, didn't I? That's got a bit squiffy there. Let's just straighten that out a bit. I think we're going to have to come up and trim that bit off. It gathered up slightly. Let's have a little black bow. What's our trees? Then we just want a sentiment, and I'm going to go off in search. In fact, I think it might be behind me, because what I think would be quite good would be this sentiment quite black, and in the Christmas to remember we have this "'Tis Season" stamp that will stamps the surround and leaves the negative. So let's just bring in a Stamparator so that we can make it nice and flat. To remove magnets. And we're not going to want the piece in the middle because it is a red rubber stamp. Let's find ourselves a little bit of white. Let's bring back one of those magnets to hold this down. 'Tis the season. Let's come towards the end. We don't need to waste all of that card. Let's pick that up. Then I'm going to find Memento ink. Stamp that. Quick slurp of water. Well, we ink this up again. That step is not necessary. It's not obligatory to have a slurp of water between inkings of your stamp. Let's press that down again. That's better, isn't it? That's what we're looking for. A nice solid black image. Let me bring in my big scissors because I want to give a very narrow white border around there. And we'll add that on there as well. So both of these cards are sort of going out of the sort of traditional, a little bit different, a little bit more artsy-fartsy, for want of a better word. But they're ensuring that we're using up both sections of that gold, those gold glimmer trees. They'd make beautiful tags, wouldn't they, those trees? So there we have the Spruced Up. I keep going to call it shaded spruce. That's a colour. That is not a stamp set. It's not a bundle. This is the Spruced Up bundle. So a stamp set with coordinating dies, and those clever dies sort of give you those 2-for-1s every time you use them. So you get the inner piece that can be the stamped image. So we could have stamped these trees and die cut them and they would have been our inner image, but we still would have had this outer piece that you can either use on the same project as we have here. We've done a bit of mixing and matching and laying them up, or you can use them on 2 completely different projects like we have done with the trees. So this one is for our colour challenge, and the colour challenge was, let's just make sure, tick, that we've got all of the colours that we needed. So the colour challenge was for basic white. Yes, we have a basic white card base, soft succulent, basic black, early espresso and garden green. So we've got all of our colours in there for our colour challenge. We've used that block watercolouring technique, and then we've taken our leftover trees and created another project altogether. So 2 little bit different Christmas cards using that Spruced Up bundle. I think that's me done for. I hope you have enjoyed those 2 projects. I'm going to go and lie down in a darkened room now for a bit. I think probably a cup of tea is in order now. So I hope you all have a fabulous weekend, and all being well, God willing, I will be back on Monday to do a bit more crafting with you. So have a fabulous weekend, everybody, and I will see you all soon.